Within the first 5 minutes of walking the hallways, I ended up in a classroom. And with no prompting at all from any adult, this group of third grade girls sort of took over, explaining to me what was happening. And the children were collecting evidence and materials from different parts of the room and bringing them to me in order to show me what they were working on. And I stood up and walked away from the conversation thinking to myself how much they had taught me. To see children taking that level of initiative with no prompting from adults is just a tremendous example of how Shore is raising children. Being at recess and having groups of children approach me and wanting to school me on their school, routines and cultural things even about how they treat each other was truly impressive. What I find conspicuous about Shore is the thing that is missing from so many school settings, which is this notion that this can be joyful and happy. No one ever forgets why they're here. Everyone's driven by what's necessary, right, happy, and safe for children. And the alignment between what I believe as an educator and what Shore believes is important is the reason that I'm here. The new head of school steps in and stands on Larry's shoulders. So there isn't a day that's going to go by in the first several years where I'm not really going to be thinking about Larry and how lucky I am to follow such a successful tenure. It's a big thrill to be returning to the North Shore. I was educated and raised on the North Shore. I was served extremely well by local public schools, but I've spent my entire career in independent schools. One of the things that's a challenge for schools in the industry in general is in order for schools to be around forever, you actually have to be projecting out much further than we ever have had to do in the industry. So looking at the local market, the challenges for Shore are not actually unique. It is actually a national trend. So I think the biggest thing is certainly paying attention to what the trends are here locally, but I think more globally looking at what are the trends in independent school education in general. If we start addressing those now, then when 10 years comes, we as a school will be ready for that and ready to meet those challenges. I have great confidence in Shore. So while I know that transition can breed sometimes a little bit of insecurity, I look at the institution as being in such an enviable position around this transition. I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be part of that process for Shore. And I'm looking forward to being a parent in this community. So my husband and I look at Shore as a place not only for me to settle professionally, but for our daughter to land and thrive. And this is a really tremendous fit for us as a family in terms of what we want for her. As somebody who's waiting to join the community in July, the outpouring of connection and reaching out and grabbing me and bringing me here is an indication, I think, of what's culturally important. If that's how I'm treated as an adult, I can only imagine what it feels like to be a child in this community.